Dude, this is a jam, isn't it?
Alright, kids, you should be on.
Alright, hi guys, we're back. We're playing a little intermission song. So let us know if you can hear us and see us on both YouTube and on FaceSpace.
FaceSpace.
And we'll play. We good?
Yep, we're up.
We up. Alright. So just to rehash it,
Way to pay the bill.
my name's Joe. His name's Matt.
Yep, I think.
We're tuners for VMP tuning. We're here to answer your questions about late model Ford tuning.
Calibrators, sir.
Yeah, we can call ourselves
Yeah,
whatever we
I know
want.
that.
We're actually tuna fish, T-U-N-A.
Are we T-U-N-A?
I'm a-
T-O-O-N?
I'm a 200-pound tuna fish, and you're like a 100.
I'm like a 185.
185-pound tuna fish.
It's that VMP.
The VMP 15 got to you?
Yeah. Well, that's after the previous, I don't know.
All right.
I like, food is just so delicious.
We like food as well. In addition to cars, we like food.
This first.
So, as you guys saw, we released a video last night of 2020 GT500 intercooler testing.
Chuck.
What? I have Chuck Carter that says, I've got about a gallon of peanut oil. Is that enough for my Gen 3R? So
we have to explain the inside joke now.
I'm not going to explain the inside joke. I will just tell people that
our superchargers come pre-filled. You do not have to add oil.
Yeah, the superchargers come pre-filled with oil. Do not add oil to them. Do not put any other oil in the supercharger other than the stuff that you can buy from us. It's not because we're trying to capitalize on the supercharger oil market. It's because we're trying to make sure that your blower doesn't die a very miserable death.
They will too.
Yeah. You put the wrong oil in it, you'll have a bad time.
So anyway, you don't have to touch it because we send it to you with oil in it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it smells real bad. Like real bad. We got Travis Schott. I hear and see you loud and clear. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the confirmation.
Dorian Johnson, when is Odin going on your truck, Joe?
I don't know. I think I might try and do like the Gen 3 path more. Because from a simplicity standpoint, Gen 3 is already on the truck. I'm already at a level where I can't really turn it up anymore safely.
True.
So I need to do the built motor setup anyways, which is in the shop, sitting on a cart.
Oh, you have one already?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I just got to do stuff.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, trust me.
Yeah, so maybe not. Either way, the boost will get turned up when I do the build motor.
You're getting into that time of year where it's
doing
too hot and miserable to do anything. Remember that.
It happens so quickly, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, the weather's nice outside. I want to go do things. And then, oh, I'm going to work on my car, but I can't because it's hot now.
Gone. Well, Ashley tried to negate that excuse by buying me an air conditioner for the garage.
Ooh, like a mini split system you got going on?
So it's like one of those little roll-arounds that
I
has
have
like
one.
the tube that goes to the...
Yeah, I have one out there.
Yeah.
I gave it to Jesse.
Yeah.
Well, I give it to him, but he uses it.
Yeah, exactly like that one that we had to roll around in the shop for a little while.
They work really good as long as it's blowing directly on you.
And my shop's a lot smaller than ours is, so it's like a two-car garage that's closed in a separate building from the house. We have Janssen 5.0, any intercooler upgrades for the 18-up Roush blowers.
No.
We briefly went down that path. I guess we could probably talk more about that at another
Your
point in
intercooler
time.
upgrade is a Odin.
It's the Roush blowers are very package constrained to.
Yeah.
You can't really put enough core in there for it to really be good.
Thanks.
But yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about that. Then we got Ralph Wiggins, Mustang King versus Burger King.
Drown it in water meth.
I don't know who those are. John Smith, you guys still tune 0304 Cobras? Yes, we do. I'd say on a every other day type basis. One of us in the tuning office is messing with a 0304
I
Cobra.
have 4 of them in my tuning or in my queue that I'm working
New
on.
edges or 0304s?
0304s.
Yeah.
So
we have
the Mustang King versus Burger King. I think they're talking about that lethal versus beefcake thing that went down. On
So is
that.
Beefcake the Burger King?
No,
Lethal
wasn't it Lethal claimed he was the Mustang King, and then Beefcake threw some shots at him, and then it turned into a thing, and it was funny.
Remember, this is drama-free 2020. We're not getting involved with the drama.
I wasn't involved. I just
We're
made
in
popcorn.
a no-drama neighborhood.
I sat there and I ate my popcorn. So
Then we got the Goblin.
the Goblin.
The Goblin. What are the horsepower gains of going from a twin-jet 67 to a VMP 137 on a Gen 3 on 13 Mustang GT?
How much boost?
Yeah, if you're running 8 to 10 pounds, it ain't going to be anything.
Yep.
If you're running 20 pounds and you have a decent-sized cold air on it, then you could see 30, 40 horsepower. If you're running 23, 24 pounds, 60, 70.
Yep.
As the throttle body becomes more and more of a restriction as you try to flow more air through the blower, the more your gain is when you go to a larger, better flowing throttle body. And then we got Travis Schott. I know what you mean, Joe. I'm waiting on a Mantic clutch and MGW short throw shifter to arrive.
Yeah, but
awesome.
it's worth it.
Yeah.
It is worth
The
it.
Goblin said 15 pounds.
15 pounds.
15 pounds, so the difference between a twin jet 67 and a 137 would probably be 15, 20 horsepower at that level. If you were on a twin 60, it'd make more sense to make a jump to a VMP 137, but being that you already have a twin jet 67, it makes less sense.
True.
Can you do it if you want to? Sure, but you got to figure out if the dollars match the cents.
Is this John McCall?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I have a 17 auto stock looking to 93 tune it. Do you have files? Absolutely. Folders and folders of them.
Mm-hmm. All sorts of files.
All sorts of files.
Mm-hmm.
And we will give one to you.
Mm-hmm. For
we
the
will-
swift
first,
price of a level 1.
we will pick a file that best suits your vehicle. Then we will add a little custom flair to it.
Mm-hmm.
To personalize it to you,
Mhm.
and then we send it to you in this nice little greeting package, like with a bow on it.
With a
and
box and a little SCT device.
Yep.
It'll be great. You'll love it.
stuff. We can do it.
Spirit fingers?
Yes,
Yeah.
Extra flair?
we do.
Yeah,
that.
like you don't see it, but when you get it, you feel it.
Yeah.
Well, we get some people that we get some people that kind of they get not angry. They get some people that they don't understand. They don't know what we do, and then they say, "Well, you're just." I thought I was getting a custom tune. I'm like, you are getting a custom tune. Just we use a base file, and then it gets modified for what you have.
Mm-hmm.
That we customize it to your car.
Mm-hmm. Custom.
So
Then you have Drew Smith. I have a Coyote Swap Fox body running control pack, Gen 1 motor. What's the most economical way to get a speed input with a T56 and no factory cluster? So if you're trying to get speed input into the control pack, that's different from trying to get it into a cluster.
yeah,
or
because the
some
control pack
sort
you
of
have to add a
speedometer.
pin.
Yeah, and that's not that bad. And the most cost-effective way to do that is to, if your transmission did not come with a output shaft speed sensor, you obviously put an output shaft speed sensor in it, and then you use a GM, typically GM style OSS sensor connector. You run 2 wires. One of the wires you'll have to tee in for power, and then the other wire is I want to say it's switched ground and power. Or not switched ground, like signal return.
Yeah.
So it's 2 wires. You wire it into the PCM on one end. You wire a pin into an open pin in the PCM for VSS or OSS.
Now,
and then you have fun.
if you're talking about the Fox body cluster, the speedometer is mechanical, and you're kind of shit out of luck.
Yeah.
Not really much you can do about that. I believe there was a company a while that was making a box that would spin a speedometer for you, but I couldn't begin to tell you who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but he says no factory cluster. So I'm wondering if he's talking about just getting OSS signal to the PCM.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's the case, then just doing what we
do it.
described is the way to do it.
Yep.
MGT92 Cobra 1. What is the rough horsepower number difference between a Gen 3 and Gen 3R stock bottom and GT500? Boost for boost, the higher or the faster you spin the blower, the more of a difference it's going to be. I wouldn't say that there's a rough horsepower number that's like a set value across all GT500s and all boost levels. I'd defer you to some of the videos that we put out when we initially released the blower, because we did a comparison against our own blower then, and that'd be your most accurate source of A to B horsepower gains going from Gen 3 to Gen 3R.
Facts.
Alex Cadell. My car is a mostly stock 15 GT PP1 and Mantic clutch. What do I need to go out for the first time ever drag racing?
A tire.
A good state of mind. Don't get in your own head. Try to be specific with what you're doing.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit.
How fast, depending on how fast he's gonna go,
He's gonna need a helmet,
Yeah, so definitely bring long pants.
closed-toed shoes, long pants, closed-toed shoes, and a helmet. Not a bicycle helmet, a real helmet.
Yep.
One of the first times I ever went to the track with Joe, he got told, you gotta skedaddle and go get pants and come back.
Yep. And then that's about it. Just watch and do as others. And
don't go crazy on your first launch. Leave off idle. Just
let it bog.
go through the emotions, as they say.
Yeah, don't stall it. Just let it bog.
Yeah, and if you go back, like, to this specific guy, if you go back, like, 3 or 4 episodes, there's an episode at the very end where I asked basically the same question.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere in the 3 to 5 episodes ago, we talked about that, the very thing, like a checklist of what to do if you've never been to this drag strip before.
Exactly. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's like a really long, really in-depth discussion. Like, it's definitely something to check out.
We tried.
And have fun with it. That's what it's for.
Janssen 50, safe RPM for stock long block Gen 1. My MAF pounds minutes show peak airflow at 7,700 RPM. Shifting at 7,800 minty. Yeah, it should be, in theory.
Yeah.
Just try and keep it off the
shift
limiter.
them I routinely shift them up there. So, even with a blower. So, I haven't had one come apart yet, so.
Yep. And we got John J. Verrett. Does the VMP 137mm throttle body fit onto the Cobra Jet manifold? I don't know if you'd have to do a little bit of clearancing on the, like you have your vertical and your upper and lower axes on the throttle body, or not throttle body flange. You might have to clean up the middle or the round part of the 137.
It might, when it opens in, it might touch the floor of the inside opening of the intake.
Yeah, depending on how you have it flipped, it'll either touch the floor or the lid. The other way, the throttle only opens one way, so you should only have to clearance one side of it, but you'll have to clearance one of the sides.
Jeremy, hey. Jerry wanted to know, did we cut hair over there? She's starting to look like a girl.
We can cut your hair, we're just not sure you're going to like the results.
And he said, can you make a custom intake? No, Matt Hayes can. We already talked about this, and it's $3,000.
Seems fair.
Got to pay to play, buddy.
We got John Smith. Turtle Wax is making a comeback.
It is?
I saw that they have a new mixed, I think they're calling it like a hybrid series of chemicals that you can apply to your paint. But yes.
Interesting.
They are. It's good for them. And we have Brian Ferry. Have you ever tuned a Quick 6 standalone for the 6R80?
Yes.
I've tuned cars that have Quick 6 standalones. I have not manipulated the Quick 6 myself.
I have, but honestly, if you go above 2 comments to Jeremy Russo and send him a message, he is the Quick 6 master because he had one in his car. And I honestly never had to touch the damn thing because he did it all himself.
The 6R80 2-valve.
And he was going 820s on a 2-valve with a Quick 6, so he would be the guy to talk to.
It makes sense.
So,
Ken Spa. I've got a 2011 GT500 2.4 VMP pulley, JLT 123, and VMP tune. I have a set of 1314 GT500 injectors. Would it be worth installing these along with the twin 67mm throttle body?
Like literally this combo this morning. An 11 with a JLT 123, 1314 injector.
Well, what's confusing is that he has a 2.4 pulley on an 11 GT500, which means he doesn't have a factory blower.
Correct.
So it would have to most likely be a Trinity blower.
But I'm wondering if it's already got machined. Or I'm sorry, if he's got a blower swap.
If you have a 2.4 pulley on it and it...
Sam.
Oh, God. if you have a 2.4 pulley on the blower and it's not a stock blower, you need the 56s in there anyways if you want to turn any decent RPM with it, unless you're at elevation. Sam Lippincott.
Sam just checking Matt's hair, looking good. I love him.
Oh, God. You two need to get a room. A chat room. Then we have Anchor.
Hey, I remember those.
Anchor Bahat.
ASL, baby.
Yep. Anchor.
Age, sex, location. You rolled up in the chat room. You want to know how old they were male or female, and where they were located. So you was trying to holler. Come on, Brian, act like you weren't in high school on a chat rooms.
Oh, he wasn't around for AIM chat rooms, dude. He's too young. He's too young.
God, I'm not
They were
old.
all out of AIM free AOL CDs at that point.
Man, ICQ and AIM was my jam.
I had AOL in like middle school or something.
Oh, that's
Pete.
I'm like, what is that? It sounded like it was coming from that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was ICQ and AIM, and occasionally, if you were stressed, you needed to hit a MSN Messenger.
I never did the MSN.
That was very rare. That was a when you were scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Anchor Bot or Hot. Sorry. Thoughts on JLT intake for 2300 TVS versus bigger air filter on stock box.
Do it.
I assume. And I hate to assume, but I'm going to assume you're talking a GT500 with a stock blower. If you're talking about a GT500 with a stock blower, then going with a bigger air filter kind of works. The problem is you're now creating a difference in the mass air transfer function as compared with what the stock mass air transfer function would have been by changing the filter for either a different size, shape, or media type of filter. And I wouldn't recommend doing that as opposed to going to a complete cold air assembly that is vetted and it works well.
With a tune.
With a tune.
The proper tune is very crucial.
All right, you got Paul Brinston.
Paul Brinston, 07 to 12 GT500 with a Trinity TVS swap on 91 pump gas. Is it worth it to upgrade to a Gen 2 R or a Gen 3 if I'm only running 91? No. Probably not.
It depends on what your future goal is.
Yeah, it depends on what your future goal is. Will it make more power, like swapping it? Yes.
But whether or not that's worth it on pump gas is kind of up to you.
And I can't answer whether spending a couple thousand for X number of horsepower is worth it. I can't answer that for you. That's your choice.
Yeah, and that's something
It certainly gives you a blower you can grow into.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's what you're looking to do, you're looking to go E85 or race gas or run butane down the road, then getting that blower sets you up for all the headroom you're going to need.
However,
on the stock
plot
engine.
twist, we're still doing the TVS trade-in program, right?
We are.
So you could trade in your TVS and we'll take a chunk of money off of the Gen 2R or the Gen 3R or whatever.
He's right, you know.
So, plot twist.
And then same guy, Paul
Just do it.
Brinson.
You can't take it with you.
Do you guys tune 07 to 10 GT500s with DW300M twin pump kit, 340 liter per hour? I was thinking going this way versus a fuel pump booster. In my experience, there is not a single drop-in pump you can put in an 07 to 10 GT500 that is made by the aftermarket that performs better than the stock pumps do in the stock hat.
Correct.
And what I quantify as better than the stock pumps in the stock hat is operating at the same voltage, producing more fuel flow.
Correct.
So in those returnless fuel systems on those, we have a table that we modify to get the fuel pumps characterized properly. That's called fuel pump voltage table. One axis of that is fuel flow. The other axis is rail absolute pressure. Essentially, that table tells you how much voltage is required to generate this much rail absolute pressure at this much fuel flow. And in every case that I've dealt with where an aftermarket pump has been used in an 07 to 10 GT500 hat, that's not like a 13-14 hat or 11-12 hat or anything like that, I've had to increase the amount of voltage it takes for that pump to output the same amount of fuel flow at the same amount of rail absolute pressure as compared with a stock pump.
Correct.
So on one hand, it's cool to have fuel pump flow data that says this pump flows more than the stock pump. It's another when I'm looking at the data coming out of the car that tells me what it's doing that says otherwise. That doesn't mean that that pump in ideal conditions isn't capable of flowing more fuel than the stock GT500 pump is. That's just me saying that something in that equation of the stock fuel pump hat with the stock power wires and the stock lines and the stock fittings is keeping that pump from performing as well as a stock pump. And
I would say I run into this probably once a month.
Yeah, you
where
get a
I
guy,
get someone that they're out of fuel with the stock fuel pump situation, and then they go, oh well, I took care of it. I just bought 2 DW300s and I put them in the hat. And then I go, hey, you're out of fuel, and they're like, well, what do you mean? I just installed these pumps. Yeah, I know you installed the pumps. You're still out of fuel.
Yeah, and that's don't take that as we're saying that the
pumps aren't
we're
bad.
Against aftermarket pumps. We're not. It's just a point of fact and an observation that we've made that those pumps don't work in the factory fuel hat. And that's not to say that it's exclusive to DW. There's many other manufacturers of pumps that say they make a pump that drops in that performs better. But every single experience I've had, and that's probably 24 at this point, at minimum, and none of them have performed as well as a stock pump.
I'm probably 7 or 8 myself right now.
Yeah.
Same situation. At the end of the day, we have found there's nothing you can stick in a stock hat that outflows a stock pump.
Yeah, your best bet with a stock fuel hat is to run a set of boosters. And I'm not saying that because we sell boosters. I'm saying that because I have tuning experience that says that the aftermarket pumps in a stock hat do not work as well.
Joe says come
I'll
at
get
me.
off my soapbox.
Joe says come at him.
Then we have Alex Cadell again. What kind of numbers would Track Attack put down with a 350 or Cobra Jet intake? A crossplane 5.2 NA swap is my dream, is why I asked, with 12-to-1 compression ratio.
Well, a 5.2 crossplane is going to come with 12-to-1 already.
I would say,
and it's already going to have a GT350 intake on it.
I would say look at the numbers that Ford put out for a crate 520 or 5.2 XS.
Yeah.
And that's what it's going to make. Because the 5.2 XS comes with a Cobra Jet. It's 12-to-1. It's a 5.2.
Yep.
It's everything you're asking for numbers for, except the numbers would just be through a drivetrain. Right. So take whatever that number is that Ford Racing advertises, hit it by like 0.87.
Yep.
And you'd probably be pretty close to what that car would put down on 93. I want to say the numbers that they quote for the 5.2 XS are on 93. I don't know what they'd be on race gas or E85.
I'm not sure on that one.
Frank Oldham.
Oldhamel. No,
I couldn't tell if that's an exclamation or I don't know.
Oldham.
But it's capitalized after the
I
end.
have.
It's an I.
There it is.
Okay.
So I have a 17 auto stock, and it's a V6. Do we have tune files for those on 91? Absolutely.
Yep, we can tune that car.
I'm doing a ProCharge one as we speak.
Yep.
So.
And then we have Ankur bot again. GT500 thoughts on JLT questions. So yeah, if it's we'll call an 07 to 09 GT500, absolutely do a cold air. Don't bother trying to put a different air filter in the stock air box. If it's a 2010 to 2014, those cold airs are a lot better than the 07 to 09 cars are. So could you put a cold air on that thing? Yeah, if it's completely stock, I don't know that you necessarily need to. If you're going to go with a bigger blower, which I think he was the one that said 2300 TVS. So if you already have a 2300, you really need a bigger cold air on that thing. If you're only spinning it like stock 13, 14 GT500 boost levels, which would be about 14 PSI, 13, 14, the stock cold air is probably fine. If you have it cranked up a bit higher than that, 16, 17 pounds, probably a good idea to get a different air filter and cold air assembly on there.
Yep.
Janssen 5.0. Chucky up for all ported intake shootout?
Wait, that means I'd have to start. I don't think it starts right now again.
No, I think it does. We just got to hook up the battery cables.
Me and Joey just did the other day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It sits around a lot, so the battery gets drained.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that gas is from 87.
1987?
1987. Not 87 octane.
Then we have Paul Brinston. Sounds good. I'm just running a 2010 with a Trinity swap TVS 2.4 pulley and 91 octane. So
booster it is.
Booster it is. Perfect. And then
Paul Brinston, thank you so much. Great info.
No problem, man.
Welcome.
We're here to try to save you money. Like on one side of things, or one side of the business is sales, one side of the business is R&D. So there's many faces to the business. Right now you're talking to tuning. We're here to answer tuning questions. So if you ask us about stuff, we're going to shoot you straight.
Yeah.
Not that any other business, any other part of the business wouldn't, but we have the info you're looking for.
Keep in mind, it goes hand in hand. If we make your life easier, we're also making our lives easier.
Yeah, because when we have to fight the uphill battle of you having the wrong pumps in your car and it not working, you're not going to be mad at anyone else but us.
We don't want to send you 15 revisions any more than you want a data log and load 15 revisions. We would love to get it right within 2 or 3 revisions.
Yeah.
So we're not just, when Joe or somebody in tuning recommends something, they're not trying to sell you something to make money. They're trying to help you out.
Which helps us out.
We're trying to save you headaches.
Yes, quite literally. Yeah. That's why when we get a lot, that kind of goes back to injectors. When we get someone that says, I have Excel 160-pound injectors, we say, we're not tuning these, and then they get all huffy, and they're like, why? I don't understand.
Work. They squirt fuel just fine.
They squirt fuel just fine. And we're like, no, we're trying, in the long run, we're not going to be able to deliver you a finished product that you are going to be satisfied with in a timely manner.
Or that we're going to be satisfied with.
Right.
And that's why we tell you to
So we're just going to nip this in the butt right now and say...
No.
No. So...
Do one last one and we'll wrap it up.
What?
Sounds good to me.
Man.
I got stuff I got to do. Facebook too?
Yeah, Chuck didn't come storming in here and like, we got to go, Joe.
I know, right? We got stuff to do.
This is why money goes to VMP always. Absolute best support in the industry.
Awesome. Glad to hear, sir.
We were just talking about this in our meeting last night. How we kind of present a rare opportunity for people where we're a supercharger manufacturer that also is capable of building cars and tuning them. So we have...
Not to say other manufacturers can't. They just don't do it on a retail level.
Correct, on a retail level. So the fact is that we kind of offer different perspectives. We don't just sell you a supercharger or sell you a part. We can take you from here all the way to the finish line. So it's nice that being able to have all different perspectives.
A one-stop shop, so to speak.
Yeah. It's very hard to do, but we do it.
Yeah. It's very tricky.
PT, thoughts on shifting a Boss 302 at 8,300? Why not?
Sounds kind of pointless, but if you want to.
It's not going to make power up there, but if you want to, be my guest.
Yeah, and you won't do it on anything we can currently provide you with SET-based calibration because you can't rev that processor any higher than...
I think it's 82.
It's 81 or 82 with a patch.
So food for thought. Let's face it, a Boss 302 mechanically, you could shift it at 8,200. Yeah. So that makes you wonder how high, if you ever really wanted to go. I wonder where a GT350 flat plane really comes apart. Like, I wonder just how high...
Do you think it'd be valve train first or rotating assembly?
They've got some really toothpick rods in them for weight reduction. I bet it tears a rod out of it.
Is it at 10,000 or 11,000 RPM?
I had heard a rumor, back when they first came out, I had heard a rumor that Lund had one. I heard a rumor that Lund accidentally sent his to 92. But I don't know if that's true or not. I never saw any. That's why I had just heard that.
So if you're watching, let us know if you ever revved it to 92.
I'm just curious on when an actual GT350 would come apart. Because where I was going with that is the 8200 is the red line for a GT350.
Yeah.
So if a Boss that has a red line of 7 will take, or I think it's 7 or 72 from the factory.
I think it's even higher factory on a Boss. I think it's 75 or...
Okay.
I think it's 75.
Well, either way, what I was getting at is if there's an 800 RPM cushion built into a 302, a Boss 302, if you applied that same 800 RPM cushion to GT350, how high could you really spin the thing? When does it actually come apart?
I don't know.
I'm curious. Who has one wants to find out?
Let's just keep on sending it. We have Keon Cohen. Hey guys, just checking in. Got great news. So basically I've been working on a good 60-foot Just this past weekend, ran a 902 at 148 from an
Nice.
Auto Swap Kenny Bell 14 GT500,
So
900
that
horsepower.
puts him about where we
Awesome.
said he would be.
Yep.
Because he was like in the mid to high 9s, and we said he should pick up about a half a second switching to an auto.
Yeah, makes sense. We have Travis Schott with the Mantic clutch. Will there be a need for a revision for the speedometer reading to still be around its actual accuracy range? So the speedometer isn't based off the clutch or anything. The speedometer is based off the transmission. And if we're talking S197, the speedometer in a S550, it's based off a wheel speed sensor.
Don't forget, if you have installed a Mantic clutch and this is a Coyote, you will have to do a crank relearn.
Yes. Anytime you're messing around with either flywheel, clutch, pressure plate, technically flywheel, but anytime on the back of the motor unbolting stuff,
anytime the flywheel
it's a
has
good idea to
physically
do
come
that.
unbolt, anytime the flywheel has been unbolted from the car, it needs a crank relearn.
Yep.
Period.
True story.
Brian's question time.
Uh-oh. Hit us.
So this one's not really a tuning question. This is like a personal thing that I wonder about you two.
Uh-oh.
Fire away.
So, like, just to explain a little bit, right? Like, you guys know I play guitar, right?
Yeah.
The first person I saw play guitar that I was like, oh my god, I need to do this, was John Mayer.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, like, what was your John Mayer? Like, what was the moment where you were like, oh my god, car, I have to do this?
I have
For
the
tuning?
For just cars, like, with the passion for cars. Like, where did that
Ooh.
spark come from?
All right, you go first.
Ooh.
Unless you can, which I'll go first. I don't care.
You go first. 'Cause
So
I'm bouncing between a couple
I'm wondering
different-
if he's watching, but my uncle Vaughn Finney, Red, had it was like a 92 GT hatchback back in the day. And I was probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe a bit older. We took a trip up to Michigan to go visit them, and we went on the Woodward Dream Cruise, and he took me for my first Burnout in that car. And
that was it.
I did the Woodward Dream Cruise, and I saw all the Vipers and everything going by, and I already kind of had like a thing for cars. I always played with Hot Wheels. Always thought that was a fun, but that was like stamped.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have to say there's two definitive moments in my life. I always did the same thing. I always did the tinker. Like, I did the go-kart thing, and I took everything apart and drove my parents nuts.
I used to take chairs and tables apart from underneath them with screwdrivers I took out of toolboxes.
Yeah, I would take everything. I took everything apart, much to my parents' dismay. So I was interested in cars. So the 2 points was, one, my Uncle Paul. So one of my mom's brother had still to this day, he has a 71 Cuda. And we would go visit him in Dayton, Ohio, and he took me to a cruisin'. That like Dayton, Ohio, like a cruisin' in Dayton, Ohio is like 300 cars. And we rolled out to this. He took me in the Cuda to the cruisin', and I walked around. Christ, I was like 6. I'm walking around like it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my life. So there was that.
I can still see you making that face.
Yeah, yeah. So there is that. And then the other one was the first time I ever went to a drag strip, which was I had an older cousin, an older female cousin named Tiffany that we were like friends. We used to hang out all the time. And she was in high school at the time. I was a lot younger. And she was dating a guy named Rich, and he used to go to the drag strip and bracket race in high school. And so one time she's like, hey, do you want to go to the drag strip with me and Rich this Wednesday? And I went, what the hell's the drag strip? And she goes, I don't know, it's a bunch of cars and they go racing. And I was like, well, all right. So we climbed, he had an S10. So we climbed the S10 and we rode out to the drag strip, and I just jaw on the ground the whole night, and that was it. That was it. That was the turning point of my life. I spent every moment that I possibly could. I would hitch rides to go to the drag strip because I had to go back to the drag strip and see more.
All right, so follow-up question then. So the reason why I stuck with guitar is because every time I play it, it's like a mini game, right? It's like how fast can I hit these notes without messing anything up, right? Like every single time. And even if I mess it up, it's like I can start over, right? Like that's the reason I do it, just because it's something complete inside my soul, right?
Yeah, I get that.
What is it for you guys? Like, what is, so let's go back to Joe for a second. Joe, when you were with your uncle, what was the thing? Like, was it the burnout? Like, what is the thing that keeps you coming back? Like, what's your mini game?
I'd say it's probably the community and seeing all the different stuff and all the different paint colors and all the different modifications. And
so just different people's expressions on their own.
Yeah.
Stuff, kind of.
Yeah, I'd say that's it.
I would say that, yeah, the community plays a big part of it, though I will say, without getting on a soapbox, the community has changed a lot.
It has.
It's not what it used to be. It's a lot meaner now. Everyone bullies each other. Everyone's mean to each other. It's a lot of Facebook mentality.
Yeah,
I think that's modern social media.
I think that's modern social media in general. For example, you did not talk shit like that at the drag strip because you got punched in the face.
Right.
Well, I think the forums were like that before social media was really big.
So you just hit it on the head. There's no one can punch you in the face on Facebook.
Correct.
You know,
but yeah, I loved the people. They were very helpful. I would go to, and that was me. I was the young kid. I was at the drag strip. I was at the time 13 or 14, and I'm walking around and I'm asking questions, and they're very helpful. They're explaining things to me. I'm watching people race. So I love the community. I love how helpful people would help each other, loaning each other parts. I love that part of it. They kept going back. And then just it's the personal, you're racing that clock. It's the faster, faster, faster. You know, you spend X amount of time and money and all this work, and you finally hit a 16 in the quarter, and okay, now you've gone 16s. Now it's time to go 15s. And you spend it, and 6 months later you're in the 15s, and all right, now it's time to go 14s.
Now we got our next goal.
Right, it just it never stops.
We got to wake up tomorrow so we can hit that goal.
Oh, that's such a cool thing. Right?
I mean, when I was in high school, it was like my dream was to have a 12-second car. If you gave me a 12-second car, I wouldn't care now, because now it's...
You know, I've also, like, this is just a thing I've noticed, just, like, obviously I come from a very different place than you guys. Well, me and you not so much, Joe. We like a lot of the same stuff. But, like, growing up, like, I didn't like racing. It's like a video game. It's like, what part can I put on my car to make it go faster down the drag strip?
Yep.
Like, that is a quest in a video.
It is.
Like that's a thing. Like, okay.
And like your potions and your power-ups and stuff.
Yeah, like how much E85 can I fit in this without it going boom?
Yep, absolutely.
Of this potion can I drink before I get poisoned?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's fun.
I will never ever be out of the racing industry ever.
I've tried getting out a couple times. You can't.
It is just who I am. It is ingrained in me, for
Once
sure.
it gets its hooks in, it's not coming out.
Yeah.
There's also this, like, primal competition. I guess it's the same reason why people like get in a Cajun fight. It's like, I gotta prove I'm better.
It's chest beating, a bunch of chest beating. Like, I
like that.
But it's all in fun. For the most part. There's always the people, there's the people that take it too far.
Well, and at the end of the fight, like, Conor McGregor talks all the shit he wants up until the fight, and then once the fight is over, he walks up to the man and he hugs him. That's it. Like, it's always like sportsmanship after the fact. So.
Yep. So we've got away from that. I feel some. I hope it comes back someday.
I hope it does, too.
I don't mean to sound like an old man, but it's just not what it used to be, and I miss the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Everybody's just too damn mean anymore to each other.
Yeah.
So, but whatever.
We got Garrett Shaw. We'll close it out with these last three. Thanks for all the help. Finally got the cars dropped off with you guys yesterday, ready for the Built Motors, Odins, etc. Awesome.
I saw them yesterday. Those nice looking cars.
Yep. Super clean.
Oh, that was that. They were nice cars.
Yes.
I did.
Nice looking cars.
And we got Craig. What's the consensus for intakes on 18 up GTs? Yay or nay? Intakes in terms of cold air intakes or intake manifolds?
Intake manifolds, I wouldn't
Cold
bother.
air intakes, the factory cold air intake works pretty well. Intake manifolds, depending on what your goal is with the car, the factory manifold's pretty good too.
Aftermarket intakes, we're pretty much recommending JLT or PMOS.
Yeah, JLT or PMOS.
18s are very, very picky on cold air intakes, so definitely. That was
He had one, but I don't want to throw them under the bus.
Yes.
Okay.
We recommend JLTs or PMOSs, not even from a power point of view. It's that an 18, if you look at it wrong, it will drive bad and fail safe and do all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So they're very picky on your cold air intake. So it's important to have a repeatable MAF curve intake on the car.
Exactly. And then we have Alex Cadell. Could I theoretically stud my engine by replacing each bolt with a stud and torque one at a time, or do I have to remove the heads to get it done?
You can do one at a time.
You can.
Been there, done that. That's old hat. engine building, absolutely. Because you're not relieving the clamp load on the head gasket. You're keeping the head gasket planted where it is, not disturbing it. So yes, you can absolutely do that. Remove one bolt, install the stud, torque it, move to the next, start in the center, work your way out.
Yep. I will say that the only thing that you'll get kind of like mixed opinions on or mixed reviews is the way that head bolts pull, or the way that head bolts pull compared to the way head studs pull, and how that affects the line hone, or not the line hone,
The cam bore alignment?
The crank bore alignment, not cam bore.
Well, he's talking about the heads. The head shouldn't pull on it too much.
Yeah, it's not going to mess with the heads, but what I'm saying is how head studs, when you do head studs, old school of thought that I've heard and seen a couple times is if you do head studs, do a line bore because it changes the way that everything's pulled together.
It does pull on the block, moves on the block. I feel it's negligible on a Coyote. I've not seen. I mean, there's been plenty of people that have never even bothered to line honing them. Just put stuff together and sent it. So
yeah, I think that there's plenty of people that have done that, but I think it's not necessarily a bad idea to put torque plates on it with the head studs and run a line hone through it.
I would not think twice about doing it, but don't come to me later and try and sue me. But I would not have a problem swapping one bolt at a time. Absolutely not.
And with that,
so I was going to say, so in this case, if you're thinking litigation, go with Joe's idea.
It can't hurt. But yeah, we're out of here.
All right.
More next week.
222.
You bring good questions, we'll bring fun
answers.
technical answers for you if that's what you're looking for.
We'll play next week. We have a challenge. Someone needs to stump Joe.
That's not that hard to do.
I don't agree. We haven't done it yet.
I think they have.
They've
at least done it once.
Stump Joe next week. That's our topic.
Okay. I'm with it.
Do I have to Photoshop like Joe on a tree stump or something?
There you go.
That's probably it.
We're gonna stump Joe. We need a. Who the hell was that guy? We'll talk about it later. There's a game. There's a
the show after the show.
No, there's a game show host, and I can't think of his name. He talks. Is it Ben Stein? They're like that talks really, really deep, slow voice.
Ben Stein
is that who?
Bueller. He's the guy from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
No, it's not him. Who am I thinking?
I'm talking about the guy that used to read. That used to be like a lawyer in a lot of movies, like Casper and stuff.
Yeah, that's Ben Stein.
Yeah.
He was
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
He's the teacher that when like he realized that everybody realized Ferris isn't at school. He's Bueller. It's like that.
I'll have to think of what I'm talking about.
God awful voice. Yeah.
Anyway.
That's what he's known for.
Yeah, that's his thing.
So next week we're gonna try and stump Joe.
Okay, I'm down with it. I'll see you guys next week.
See ya. Bye bye. Oh yeah, that too.
Like, share,
subscribe.
Bye.